the audio of the idiot in the truck. Okay,
Nice.
You seen it yet?
No, I haven't seen it. No, I've seen the
well,
story,
here it
obviously,
is.
but that's it.
It's let's put it this way. Here's the headline. The Daily Mail just ran the story. Man ranting, "The South is coming for you." Okay.
And he's a North Carolina guy.
Yes.
I couldn't be more proud as a native.
Yeah. Couldn't be more proud not to be a native. Because no one crazy from Ohio has ever done anything wrong.
No, that's even worse. You chose to be here and stay here. Yeah. Bastard.
Yeah, what am I thinking?
What am I thinking? All right, kids. There's a new haircut. Great Clips rules again. Look at that. Look at that. There we go. Some good stuff right there. Looky there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And then there's the bald spot. Well, you can't really even see the bald spot that good, but it's there.
Oh, I spotted a guy, a congressman, who's been in office for a while, Tom Molinowski from New Jersey. You know who he is?
I don't know that guy.
Well, I mean, he's a really smart guy.
Yeah.
And I think he's even chairman of one of the committees. And he showed up yesterday with suddenly a new hairdo.
That was always your dad's gimmick, was always like spotting the tubes, right? That was like a thing that he loved to do, didn't he?
Well, this is a different category. This is spotting a brand new tube on somebody who never had one before. Who apparently this was like a this was like a preventative tube. This was like a
oh Jesus.
Yeah.
And the hair plugs have gotten the hair plugs have gotten so much better as time has gone on. I mean, they're much more expensive and they're more involved. But geez, why do you gotta?
It's still painful, and who wants to do it? And you can just slap the fucker on and go for it.
Exactly. Do you still have the one that your dad got for you?
I do. I still do. It's up there.
You wore it to the Christmas party the one year. It's great.
Yeah. And now that I'm completely, for the most part, gray, I long ago passed it because it had a little bit of gray in it.
Yeah.
But,
oh, we're in a good mood today. Everybody's in a good mood today. It's very humid, very hot.
Come on there.
Come on, man. Come on.
Okay. We're good.
Excellent.
We're ready. All right. Now lighting is a little bit harsh. There we go.
Yeah, let's get that 1980s police video lighting going on.
Yeah, there it is. See? A little artificial, a little natural, and
every breath you take,
you're good to go. It is the Brad and Britt cast. We've done 4 this week. It's a full week for us. 4. What do you want to do? You want to pick from one of my top 3? You got
go
things
to
that are too.
Go to the breaking news, because the breaking news is always very important on a podcast. It's always key. Let's do the breaking news first.
It is. And by the way, I'm going to get, it was in the 3, so I'm going to do the 3 because I work so hard to be hilariously clever when I do this. And I know it never falls flat, and it's always just grade A. Ready? So here we go. She's an irredeemable psychopath.
Oh.
Too much baggage to host Jeopardy for 1,000, Alex. Or Mr. Tar Heel Bomber goes to Washington.
Door number 3, Alex. Oh, see, I mixed up my game shows there. Come on, Carol Merrill, show us door number 3.
Right. It's kind of sad because, we have, we haven't done our job as North Carolinians to be so much a part of the national political conversation in recent times. Have you noticed that? Our Congress people, they're in the background. Our two senators, largely irrelevant. Richard Burr has decided that he was going to go underground after he got nailed at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, having traded some stocks and making a little extra cash. So we really haven't done our job too well to be part of the conversation. But on this day, as we speak on Thursday afternoon, we've got a guy. He's in a truck. He has been parked near the Library of Congress in Washington, and that caused an evacuation not just of that building, but I think the Supreme Court and a few other buildings. And naturally, in the world in which we live, you have to put out some kind of a statement, some kind of announcement of who and what you're all about. Sometimes they make sense, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just reveal that you're crazy. And we don't know what part of North Carolina this guy is from, what kind of background he has as of yet. But he says he's ready to die for whatever cause.
I do have some breaking news on that front. I can inform you now.
All right, go ahead.
There it is on your screen. Floyd Ray Roseberry of Grover, North Carolina. No. That's right.
No.
He is a Ray. From the Wayne Lee Ray conundrum, Floyd Ray Roseberry from Grover, North Carolina is being named as your suspect outside the Library of Congress.
OMG. OMG. All right. Now, you're going to hear him say that he's got himself a hell of a lot of explosive power in his truck, Timothy McVeigh size power here. So here he goes.
If you blow my truck up, man, hey, it's on you, Joe. I'm ready to die for cause. And brother, if you said if you could do anything to save one life, you said you'd do it. Well, you got a chance. I want to go home Sunday. I want to go home and see my wife. We're living in a free country, Joe. Choice yours. If you want to shoot me and take the chance of blowing up 2.5 city blocks, because that toolbox is full. My own M9 truck is full. I don't want to die, Joe. I want to go home.
Oh boy.
Floyd Ray Roseberry of Grover, North Carolina. And just like you, I don't know where that is, but I just found out it's in Cleveland County, not far from the town of Shelby. I know you've heard of Shelby, so it's not far from that particular area in North Carolina.
Well, what's Shelby near? That's a city that the people who are not.
Probably about 60 miles north of Charlotte.
Okay.
So it's in that it's in that particular area. And you're right about North Carolina falling behind, and we've even taken the backseat. We've got a lot of idiots here, but Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Texas, they're kicking our ass when it comes to the dumbasses. If we would have elected Dan Forest as our governor, my God, the death and the destruction and the stupidity.
You're right, because we don't have a governor who makes national news by being an idiot. So that takes you out of the conversation. He's not being impeached. He's not resigning. He's just kind of doing, for the most part, what he's supposed to do as a governor. So, but by the time you watch us or hear us, this may or may not be resolved. We'll see. And we can just move on because there's nothing more to say. It's just, it's always one of those when you first hear a story and you don't know the name or the location from where the person comes from, or his religion, or you go, I hope he's not one of us, whether it's from where you are, your religion, your color, your anything, right?
Would you like,
you just don't want that.
I can update you further on the story. I have a snapshot of Mr. Floyd Ray Roseberry. There he is, right out of Central Casting for dumbass North Carolinian Hicks with the idiot accent. The teeth are fucked up. He looks like he just came out of a bar drunk as shit. This guy is out of Central Casting.
To be fair, he's wearing a white T-shirt, and it does fit well around his neck. It's not one of those hanging. He's got some good taste there in underwear.
Yeah. Michael Jordan can be happy in the Hanes brand. It did retain its shape. However, he does look like a 21st century update of Ernest T. Bass. So it fits every possible stereotype possible, from the idiotic Southern accent to the fucked up teeth to the drunk look on his face. It's all right there, right out of Central Casting, everybody.
Well, Britt, if you're gonna get in as part of the conversation, you need to bring the goods.
That's right.
To bring it all, and this guy has done that. But all right, enough of that, because it's a breaking news story on Thursday afternoon. What do you got? Well, you had
the other. I'm sorry, but I can't even remember the other three. I was so focused on the Library of Congress and the idea this guy's going to blow up a bunch of books, which he never reads anyway. So
right, that's what it is. All right, she's an irredeemable psychopath, or too much baggage to host Jeopardy for $1,000, please.
Let's do the Jeopardy story.
All right. And I was going to do it that way, or I was going to do the $100,000 pyramid, which would have been Chevy Chase, Greg Allman, and Mike Richards.
What are things that didn't last very long?
You have to ask a question. Right. Three things that are just not going to last very long, right? Greg Allman's marriage. Okay. Chevy Chase talk show and that. I couldn't fashion it right in Jeopardy, but here you go. So this guy, and by the way, I told you this. I didn't start watching any of the guest hosts till maybe a month ago. I mean, I caught 1 minute of Anderson Cooper probably 3 months ago. I thought he was good, but it didn't matter.
I saw a little bit of Gupta. I saw a little bit of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's about it.
And you know what? When you step back and you think about, most of the people did pretty well, especially the people who had a lot of television experience or live broadcasting experience. They were fine. And you must even admit, if you watched last week, even the reviled Joe Buck was pretty good at Jeopardy. But none.
Joe Buck's solid. He's a solid broadcaster. He really is. I mean, for all the shit that he gets, honestly.
Right. But we hate him anyway for some reason, but we don't know why.
Yeah.
But we're just going to hate him. No, we don't hate him. We don't hate him. We don't hate him.
He just sucks. I don't know. He just does.
Right. Right. But as time goes on, and the more we learn about the process of them picking someone to succeed Alex Trebek, the more obvious it seems this was the fakest quote unquote audition contest in the history of audition contests.
You got a point.
It just was, because you cannot, again, with a straight face, tell everyone, America, Jeopardy fans, the Jeopardy nation, that after all the scouring of the universe for quality, skilled, interesting people who might be good quality hosts, it ended up being the guy who had been inside the building, had been the executive producer the entire time. And he gets the job. And so then, of course, in the world in which we live, once you become famous for anything, they tear you apart. They come at you. They look at every tweet. They listen to every podcast you've ever been on. They want to find out that you are some kind of a racist, homophobe, sexist pig who just does not deserve the important perch that is the Jeopardy hosting position. So now we have a new one here, a new thing to throw at Mike Richards. He apparently was on something called The Random Show, RANDUMB. There are 41 episodes of a podcast from about 10 years ago. And He repeatedly used offensive language and disparaged women's bodies, as according to the Washington Post reporting on this. And here's some examples here. While asking his podcast co-host, who was a female, if she'd ever taken nude pictures of herself, which you always do with your female podcast.
Every time I've ever been on with a woman, I've asked him that.
He then expanded on the question and said, like booby pictures, what do we
Thank you for clarifying.
He says that women who wear one-piece swimsuits makes them look, quote, really frumpy and overweight. On
That's
big
nice.
noses. Ixnay on the O's-nay. She's not an OJ. Oh, hello. Jews have big noses. Okay. All of them.
And you want a career in Hollywood. Is that right? Is that what I'm hearing, sir?
Regarding his co-host's apartment issues, apparently they were talking about apartment. Does Beth live in like a Haiti? Doesn't sound like that. Like the urine smell, the woman in the moo-moo, the stray cats.
Jesus
Oh,
God.
boy. On his admiration for Ryan Seacrest, who these days does everything.
Yeah.
He's still doing American Idol. Here's the quote from Richard. He actually made the world a safer place for what I call the, quote, skinny white host. Okay.
That's nothing.
Now,
Of all of the charges against him, that's the least.
Right. Because of course, white people can always be attacked, right, Britt? They're open season.
Skinny white people, how will they recover?
Right. So the interesting part of this is that a Jeopardy host is not subject to impeachment, right? They're not. They can't be impeached. Okay. The only way that he doesn't continue on is if the producers of the show, the owners of the show, I think it's owned by Sony Pictures, someone up above says, this is not worth it because this is supposed to be a hire for the next 20 years, right? We're not supposed to have to think about this.
That's right.
This is supposed to be, one pick and done with the pick. And we can't withstand in the world of social media, Me Tooing and political correctness and you name it, everything shaming. We found a guy who's got all those things in his background. And I guess what this does is it really speaks to the LeVar Burton fan club. Burton with undoubtedly a completely clean he doesn't have any of that crap. There's none of that. And he's been in the public eye really for 45 years or so. I mean, the Roots was on when I think he was 19 or 20 when he scored that part. It was
1977.
Great.
It was 1977.
Right. That was the last year I was in college. It was great. And we were all watching. And when I think, wow, all these years later, and we're still talking about the guy. And he really has had an interesting, varied, great career. I didn't see him hosting. I'm sure he was fine. I'm sure he did just as well as everyone else. I didn't see anybody trashing him saying, oh boy, why did we think about him? It was none of that. So that moves back to him. And it moves back to some of the other people that I thought really did well. I thought Anderson Cooper did pretty damn good. Hell, I thought David Faber of CNBC did well. And I guess Aaron Rodgers was okay. They were all, and none of them have this. No. And maybe it's because they weren't named the host. Maybe we could find out that Aaron Rodgers, burnt cats with his friends in an alley in 1986. We might find that out. But the Packers would have known that before they drafted him. So,
yeah. So do you think this guy survives this or not? Do you think that he's able to get? Well, I don't think he does. I don't think he's going to be able to.
Here's the interesting part. The interesting part is that will Sony Pictures, the owners of the show, try to power through this?
Yeah.
A la Bill Clinton and Donald Trump.
Yeah. Because
it's their call. He isn't president of the United States where he has to power through it and not give in to the jackal pack, right?
Right.
He can't just say, come at me. the whole goal of having a Jeopardy host is to be someone who is not the star of the show. Really, it's supposed to be the contestants. It's supposed to be the questions. So they've got a problem on their hands, and not unlike Afghanistan, you don't want to let it run for 20 years. And,
no.
Okay.
But
that was a bad analogy.
Does this guy this Mike Richards become now the new poster boy of the cancel culture? He was canceled. Is that what's going to happen? He's going to make his.
Well, it would be. If they toss him, absolutely. Of course.
So then he gets to go on the Joe Rogan show and cry, and on Barstool.
He gets to go on every show and cry and claim victimhood if he wants to, and claim, nobody's perfect.
Right.
I've apologized. It has nothing to do with the way I perform my job.
Some of my best friends are Jews. I was breastfed as a child. He gets to do all of that shit. Oh, by the way, this video surfaces of Trebek saying he wanted Laura Coates, the lawyer who you see frequently on CNN, to replace him as Jeopardy host. So that's a story that's out today. So he had a natural successor all picked out, and they fucked it up.
Right. Yeah. So Laura Coates was Alex Trebek's David Letterman to Johnny Carson.
Right.
And we saw what happened. Letterman didn't get the job, and they didn't respect what Alex Trebek was saying, which, of course, was a mistake, because since Trebek was the icon, you would expect that they would look at his judgment and say, yeah, we really have to consider her. And I'm sure she was very good. I mean, she's great on TV.
She's fantastic.
It's just not a question.
I wish she was still practicing law. Like, if I was ever in trouble, that woman, I would want to represent me in any situation.
I'm sure she does. I'm sure she's still.
I'm sure I could never afford her either. But I mean, you
couldn't. And by the way, she wouldn't want you.
Exactly. Other than that, it's a great scenario that I've got.
She wouldn't want you, especially because you look like fucking Hillbilly Jim, the wrestler, right now. Okay?
Hillbilly Jim.
You like that? You didn't think I had any of those old references, did you?
No, but I got a hair. So. I'm all cleaned up. I got the haircut and everything. How dare you? Great Clips really did me.
That haircut just gives you more of a redneck Nazi look. Okay, don't give me that shit.
I'm a redneck Nazi. Let me drive my Prius up to the Library of Congress. Hang on a second. I'll take his place.
Right.
All right. What was your third item about somebody being a piece of garbage or something of that nature? I think is that going to be the Marjorie Taylor Greene story?
Yeah. You want to grab that one? You want to go for that?
Marjorie Taylor Greene was just out. They caught her coming out of a gym. It's a 2-second clip, and she says something to the extent of, "Joe Biden, you're not my president. You're a piece of shit," is what she says. That's what Marjorie Taylor Greene said coming out of a gym somewhere, which, I guess she does go to a gym, but that's her.
Right. Okay. Well, see, that's probably an example of, first of it's too stupid to talk about. Second of all, it's about the 4 millionth least inflammable thing she's ever said about anything. Just calling the president a piece of shit. I mean, that goes with the territory. People call you all kinds of names.
Right.
Of course, coming from her, naturally, it's just, it's what she does. I guess she's on brand by saying that. I shouldn't have included that, because that one is kind of sort of actually too stupid to.
Now, this is the one I thought you were going to go for. And of all the stupid things that get captured on video and distributed all around the world, why isn't there video of this?
No.
Larry David could not curb his anger at Alan Dershowitz in a Martha's Vineyard grocery. He apparently yelled at him and said he was awful. And then Dershowitz lifts up a t-shirt saying he's for freedom of speech or some shit like that. And he had a picture. It was like, I guess what Larry David was especially pissed off was Dershowitz had a picture with his arm around Mike Pompeo, the former Secretary of State, and Larry was just going off on that, and he eventually storms out and goes to us. And nobody has video of this. Nobody has video that we can watch.
Well, I mean, it is actually possible. It is actually possible in America that in a place that you could call a public place, like a convenience store somewhere, that at every given moment someone isn't brandishing a phone to be ready to start rolling when people have either a conversation or even a heated conversation. So I'm not disappointed in the fact specifically that there isn't audio or video of it, because the way the story is written, I think is fantastic. Because my suggestion was, and I actually posted this, I said that Dershowitz ought to just finally sell his place at Martha's Vineyard and move down to Palm Beach, where his neighbors would be the likes of Trump, Trump's kids, Trump's fans, and Sean Hannity. It's time to get out of Martha's Vineyard, because what was it, about 2 years ago that he was crying that he didn't get invited to any parties anymore?
Yes, he's shunned. He's shunned on Martha's Vineyard. They're mean.
But wait a minute. See, and Larry David, smart guy. He knows what's going on. And by the end of the article, as you read it, Dershowitz falls back on an ad hominem cheap ass attack and says something to the effect of, "While you were writing crummy, lousy jokes, I was over in the Middle East producing peace."
Oh,
okay.
Jesus, really?
So he was down to that. Right. He was down to that. And as far as I can, and Dershowitz is trying his best to not be perceived for his Wikipedia page after he's dead that he was a Donald Trump fan. He wants you to know, and he told Larry David right there on the spot, "Hey, fuckface, I voted for Joe Biden just like you did. I'm not a fan of Trump, but," okay. And remember, Dershowitz was one of the defending lawyers in the first impeachment, okay? So this is the unforgivable part now of Dershowitz, that Larry David could not be expected to remember every recent outrage of Dershowitz. But you fucking defended Trump, and he was not convicted in the Senate. Maybe because of your brilliant speechifying. And because he was not convicted in the Senate, he continued on as president for the next year, right, through the rest of 2020. And we got what we got. We got an election where he got beaten, and then he has organized, and continues to organize a revolt against the United States government. And guess what? One of his fans is parked right outside the Library of Congress as we speak.
True.
As we speak, trying to blow up government buildings. So it continues on. So that's the disgrace of Alan Dershowitz. You don't have to take every case. You didn't have to defend the indefensible Donald Trump.
That's right.
Okay? There is such a thing as hiding behind the Constitution. There is such a thing. And sorry, Dershowitz, you made your bed. And if it takes someone of the stature of Larry David to get in your face, to put you in your place and let you know what's going on, so be it. New York Post said that after Larry David left the place, Dershowitz took off his shirt to reveal a T-shirt underneath that read, "It's the Constitution, stupid." And then it says he drove off in an old dirty Volvo. Yeah. Dershowitz said that Larry David yelled and screamed at him and said, "I was worried he was going to have a stroke because his face was turning red." Okay. So
it's a great story.
It's a great story. That's a great story. And you got to credit the New York Post on that one. They're the originators of the story. So wherever you read it, they credit back to the Post. Some gossip sucks. That's good gossip. That's good gossip. Good gossip.
And again, of all the bullshit that we have and all the videos, I wish there was video of that somewhere that we could distribute it all over the world. I would watch that 1,000,000 times.
It'd be nice. But you know what? I don't know whether if they finished another season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, right, or they haven't written episodes, but Larry David is perfectly capable of writing an entire episode with either not the actual Alan Dershowitz, who actually is enough of a whore that if David called him up now and said, "I'm going to write an episode about it, you want to be in it?" he'd say yes, right?
Without question.
Don't you think Dershowitz would do that?
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
All right, but even if it wasn't, you could get a mythical lawyer and recreate the moment as fiction, and we can just imagine how good of an episode that would be. Because Larry, I know he's got at least one more season in him, right?
Absolutely,
and they're committed definitely to one more year.
Yeah, I think he was calling some folks back. Let's go to this. Is going to be a much more important, much less funny story. WUNC in Chapel Hill, the public radio station, is fronting this one. We're in a dire situation. This is the CEO of UNC Health in Robeson County, and her name is Joanne Anderson, and she's talking about the awful straits that they're in now. And in addition to having most ICU beds that have been taken up, she said the peak last year, the range of age was 65 to 67 years old. Today, it's in the upper 40s, much younger population.
Sure.
I think for that county, the vaccination rate is about 27%, and her staff is about 50%, maybe a little bit less. So she is there. This is happening in healthcare systems in small counties all over the country, and she's in a horrible spot right now.
Well, the whole country is. The whole country is. I mean, I guess yesterday was the first time we passed nationally 1,000 confirmed deaths in a day since last March.
Okay.
So you can just figure out. We're going downhill after March to the lowest level, and now we've come all the way back up, and we're because of the magic of compounding, not just in interest in your bank account, but with the way the virus replicates itself and spreads much more quickly and efficiently than what was happening last March, we're clearly in for several more weeks minimum of climbing numbers. And then we hope, as Dr. Scott Gottlieb is saying, that we are near the peak and it will start to recede again, which, if that's true, I don't want to say this will be the last chance, but it really kind of could be. It'll be the last chance, if the numbers start to drop, to get enough more people vaccinated that we don't have to look forward to a giant spike in the winter. However, the complicating factor, as we know, is the numbers that have come in not just from around the world in Israel, but from here, about the deterioration of the effectiveness of our vaccines, those of us who have gotten them. So they've got the 8-month rule that's going to start next month. So before anybody plays why are people in the United States going to be getting a third vaccine when there are people around the world who have none? The answer is because we can walk and chew gum at the same time, and we can continue to vaccinate ourselves and send vaccines to the rest of the world, just like on the airplane, where you must put the oxygen mask on yourself before you save your child next to you. You need to do that, and that's what we're doing. So I reject that argument that we're hogging the vaccines, and the rest of the world would be just fine if we didn't get a third vaccine out to 150 million or so. So there's two lines that are racing alongside on the graph next to each other, which, if they don't both get taken care of, we're setting ourselves up for future problems down the line. Because if we don't get enough people vaccinated for shots 1 and 2 who haven't been vaccinated, the resistors, the refuseniks, with vaccinations for the first time, to get them at least on the road to immunity here, and then the rest of us start to fade in our ability to fend off the virus or serious illness, because you can see the headlines in front of your face that if things don't get better quickly, and if enough people who got the vaccine 8, 9, 10 months ago start to see their immunity really fade, we're going to see the percentages of people in hospitals who are vaccinated start to really rise up. And what will that do, Britt? That will give the refuseniks the ability to say, see, it doesn't work. Why should I get it? Which, of course, is stupid. It's dumb. It's idiotic. But I saw the polling yesterday, and I do believe it's close to 90% of people who are vaccinated are saying, third shot, bring it on. Okay, so that probably is not going to be a problem, but it's something you have to be concerned with. You have to worry about it, and you hope that we get this set up so that it's much more organized. You would think now with, and I believe the number is 50,000 different places in the United States to get vaccinated. When you add up all the drugstores and the places like that, which is what we thought was going to happen originally. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Remember how you kept seeing stories. This is during Trump's fantastic best presidency ever. When the vaccine was starting to become a reality, there would be stories that say, well, the private sector is stepping up. The CEO of CVS says their stores are ready to accept the vaccine. Well, remember that? Well, that didn't go anywhere. So most of us ended up getting vaccines at mass sites. I got mine at a big church, which, by the way, it was fantastic the way they did it.
Yeah.
But it was still, not equivalent to, 150 drugstores, within 100 miles of me having it and being able to get it that way. But now we have that. Now we have that. And so that third vaccine shouldn't be much of a problem. And doctors' offices will probably have it. So we hope it won't be any more difficult than it is to get a flu shot in normal years, which is not a big deal. Your doctor asks you, and half the time you say, yeah, give it to me. Or you say, no, I got it at the drugstore last week, or they're giving it to me at work.
That's right.
Right? They're giving it to me at work. Hey, wait, it just hit me. It just hit me when I said that. Because, we've been at places that we got flu shots at. I think a couple of the radio stations we worked at.
They came right there and they shot us, yeah.
Right. Imagine right now the fake outrage, the idiocy, the don't tread on me, the nuttiness that would occur if employers said it's flu vaccination day next Thursday. Everybody's getting it. Now, remember, that's not government coercion.
No,
it's not illegal.
Nope.
And you know what? It should happen. Of course it should happen.
Sure.
Of course it should. Absolutely. Absolutely.
My employer, they offer it. We have a lot of employees, so they offer it through different places all over town when they do the flu shot. There's the Kaiser Foundation latest numbers: hospitalization rates 0 to 0.06% of people who have been vaccinated are in the hospital for COVID-19. 0.06 at the top end, Brad. 0.06%.
We got word earlier today, a couple hours ago, from my son over near Asheville, that maybe his biggest problem right now is the fact that a couple of the roads near his house got flooded out.
Yes,
I'm sure you heard about about the weather over there. And
Big Fred came through town.
All right, the remnants of Hurricane Fred, and they got anywhere from 5 to 10 inches real fast. And I guess it's Haywood County, North Carolina, which is near Asheville. That's where all the real damage is, and where I hate to use the word dozens, but it actually works here. Several dozen people were still missing as of the time that we started speaking here. So that's never a good sign. And so anyway, he's doing much better today.
Good.
He's got it, and his wife is a little bit behind him. She's getting better. So again, they're part of the 99.995% of people who've been vaccinated who don't end up in the hospital, right? Even if they get it. Right. Okay.
Back to Miss Anderson down in Robeson County. This is what she is saying. She's saying, unfortunately, we have a low percentage of employees that are vaccinated. We're just over 50%. So I have about 40% of my employee base today that are not vaccinated. And, I've pleaded, I've encouraged, I've incentivized, I've done everything I possibly can to get them vaccinated. And it came down to, okay, I'm just going to have to mandate it, because if I'm going to protect the staff, I'm going to protect our providers in our community. We need to be leading the cause for vaccination. So staff is not required to have their vaccinations completed until September the 21st, Brad. That's another month that they get to have both of the shots in their arms. We're giving them time to get both doses, and we've seen individuals take the vaccine since that mandate. But on Monday, Ms. Anderson writes, I still had 800 staff members that were not vaccinated. So now I'm trying to figure out how many are going to stay unvaccinated, and how do I backfill 800 positions? And I think that's part of what these dummies are hoping for is strength in numbers. That she can't fire 800 of us. She can't dismiss several hundred of us. If we all band together, then we'll last this thing out. I think that's what some of these dummies are thinking. And they're in the healthcare business, Brad.
Look, they're not. They're in the mental health business on the wrong end of it, though. They're crazy. They're completely crazy. If I went, and I hope you and I and nobody we know has to go to a hospital here for any reason in the near future. For that reason, although I think where we are, Britt, the hospitals have basically said everybody gets vaccinated or else, and there's pretty high compliance.
Yep.
I mean that sounds like Alabama. Okay, that sounds like Texas or Mississippi.
Well, look, we can
almost half the fucking people in a hospital system are not vaccinated. Oh,
there's a lot of Robeson counties out there. There's a lot more Robeson counties out there than there are Wake counties and Durham counties and Guilford counties and Orange counties and Forsyth counties and Buncombe counties. There's a lot of those little places that treat a lot of people, even along the borders, and people are just being ridiculous about the entire thing. Even here in Guilford County, where we think we're in pretty good shape, we're starting to edge toward 50% vaccination rate among the entire population. Meanwhile, you go a couple of counties over to Orange, and it's well over 60.
Well, but the hospital systems everywhere, including where we are reaching the breaking point.
As it should.
No one is escaping this.
That's an entrance exam. That's an entrance exam to working in a hospital. You have to have the vaccination. I'm sorry. You have to, if you're going to be a nurse, you have to complete the nurse's treatment. You have to have the diploma. You have to be certified. In order to work in this hospital, you got to be this tall to ride the ride, and this tall to ride the ride means you got to get the shot in your arm. I don't care if it's J&J. I don't care if it's Moderna. I don't care if it's Pfizer. You get the damn shot or you can't work in this hospital. I mean, to me, that's obvious. And if anybody wants to cry and bitch and talk about their rights and talk about let's have a class action suit and all this other nonsense, I'm sorry. You can't call yourself someone who cares about people's health and not have this vaccine in your arm. I'm sorry. Of
course, you're going to lose any attempt to sue your way into what you are going to create out of the ass that's behind you, a mythical constitutional right to infect other people. It just does not exist.
Right.
It just doesn't.
And these cases are being shot down in court after court after court after court after court, including by Amy Coney Barrett. Including by the great Amy Coney Barrett, who, of course, has been a traitor to Donald Trump by saying that Indiana University could absolutely mandate a vaccine among students coming back to campus. She said that, and there was really no controversy about it, but, of course, she's now hated.
Right. Okay. So we're now past the legalities.
Yeah.
The next hurdle, if you want to call it that, as we sit here and try to think of creative ways to convince people, the fact that we're all doing this is so crazy. It's unspeakable. But at any moment we could get a notification here that the FDA has given a full 100% no holds barred approval to the vaccines, and those of us who have been part of this really nefarious lab experiment for the last 8 months, we can breathe a sigh of relief that they did approve it, even though it's been working and it's still the truly only answer to getting us out of the entire problem, with the secondary method being masks as much as possible. So when that happens, then every business that's been waffling or saying, well, we're not going to do it, we're that will be torn away, even though, of course, you and I and we all know that it shouldn't be that. It's bullshit. Okay. It's just bullshit. I love if you can tell me what's in a chicken McNugget, and you can't, and you eat it. If you're worried about the ingredients in there, which you are not because you eat it, then take the vaccine. Believe me, the ingredients in a vaccine.
You can name 50 things like chicken McNugget, a hot dog, one of those sandwiches at 7-Eleven. People stuff those in their faces all the time without even thinking about it. Holy shit.
What's in a McNugget? What are these things?
What is a McNugget on a chicken? I don't even know. Let's finish with a little dessert from our friend, the possible next nominee from the Republican Party. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is saying that masks are about covering asses. He falsely claims that they're not proven to be effective.
Britt, I really, and I'm serious about it, I really wish you would not call him the presumptive. He's not. He really isn't.
Look at any poll.
Don't quote me a fucking poll from a month ago. Poll. Don't quote me a poll because it doesn't matter.
Well, but it's up to you to show me how
he has no popularity nationally. He really doesn't. He really doesn't.
But he's among the top 3 guys in any poll you look at. It's him, it's Trump, it's Greg Abbott, it's Ted Cruz. I mean, it's Tucker Carlson. It's going to be one of those people that is going to be the nominee of the Republican Party. I'm sorry, but those are just the facts. I'm not feeding you any information you don't know. It's going to be one of those people that I mentioned who's going to be the Republican Party's nominee.
You don't know that. It could be Melania.
Could be Melania.
No, it can't be. She's not born in the United States.
She wasn't born here. It could be Ivanka.
Well, Obama was president. What about him? What about that?
That's our week, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Stay cool.